Welcome back, everybody. A real brief one here today. I've got the Bedrock number 5 completely taken apart, and I'm doing a little bit of gentle cleaning. Um, I'm using a brass brush as to not damage any of the steel parts, but I want to break off any loose rust, any crud. Just want to get it off. I'm not looking to make this fancy. So this is a little more gentle approach, and I've already cleaned the knob and the tote with a natural oil solvent mixture, which unfortunately I can't tell you what it is because it's no longer made. The man has passed. And so I tried getting the formula from descendants, but that was not meant to be. So I just use what I have. I have a little bottle of it. I use it only now and then. So my goal here today is just simply come across every part and see if I can't loosen up some of the crud so I can put it all back together. And like I said, this is a more gentle approach. No wire wheels, no trying to make it shiny, because this plane, I want it to have all of its original patina because of the fact this was a gift to me. But I do want to clean and preserve. Now, one product I will tell you about is Ballistol. Ballistol is a very interesting product, and from the way I understand it, it was developed during one of the world wars. It might have been World War II, but it might have been sooner. And it was developed by the Germans to keep their armory rust-free and working properly. Leave it to a war to come up with solutions to problems. The nice thing about the Ballistol, it cleans and protects, and it seems to last like almost forever. It only takes a drop here and there. So just a little bit of history about the Bedrock plane. Leonard Bailey came up with the Bailey patent plane, which in my opinion was absolutely brilliant. I mean, just brilliant. You take a bunch of small, thin parts, mass produce them, put them all together, and the sum of the parts, the sum of all these parts is what makes it work. It's not one particular part, it's the sum of all the parts. Then Stanley acquired the design and began implementing improvements. And if you look back on some of the early hand planes, even Iron Body, they did not have a lateral adjuster. Okay? All they had was you would tap them just like years ago with a wooden plane. Eventually this will get a bath. I will get in and get rid of some of the rust. But just today, I just want to clean it up. Get rid of loose crud. So they didn't have a lateral. We'd adjust it just like you would the old wooden planes. There's a bit of goop in there. Then they came out with the lateral adjuster, where it had sort of a bent front, and that worked okay. But what was interesting, at least to me, I find it interesting, when they came up with the lateral with this little wheel on it, that's not just a washer that's riveted on, that's actually a bearing. So make sure you keep that oiled. Okay, keep it clean, keep it oiled, keep your lateral clean and oiled. Very important function of the plane. So that was a major improvement. So Stanley kept improving right up through the different wars, right up into the baby boom, and then the dreaded thing happened, and that was a drop in demand for hand planes. Now, why was there a drop in demand for hand planes? Well, it's real simple. Machines were taking over. Why would you want to hand plane something when you could just run it through a machine, and it's planed, and then run it through another machine, and it's sanded? Done. So that's what happened in the late 50s, early 60s. And then you saw what is known as a decline in the quality and performance of woodworking tools. And hand planes was probably one of the hardest hit. This ballistol is amazing. It will clean and protect, soften surfaces. So that's what I'm kind of aiming for here, is I just want to clean and protect. And a can like that will last you a long time. I don't know how many years I've had that one. So by the time we hit the 70s, and then forget the 80s, we were into full-fledged industrialization by then. And then after the 80s, we started the other downfall, and that was sending our manufacturing overseas. And we've been fighting that ever since, because everybody wants cheaper and cheaper product. But there's a saying, how does it go? You can have something made good. And that's not proper English, but you can have something good, you can have something fast, or you can have something cheap. But you very rarely will get more than any two of those three items. You can have something cheap and fast, but it isn't going to be any good. You can have something good, but you're rarely going, and you might get it fast, but it's not going to be cheap. You see what I'm saying? You take those three words, and that no matter which way you move them around, it isn't going to give you the result that you're looking for. So I'm going to keep cleaning these pieces parts so I can put this plane back together. I am going to give it a good bath one day, a good bath, and then a good oiling. because I want this plane to maintain its patina, since it was a gift from somebody, a very thoughtful gift. It belonged to her father, and they didn't have to send it to me. So I want this to maintain its patina. So a little bit of that ballistol on all the screws, all the pieces, and that'll help lock in the patina. But just remember, when you have oil-soaked rags, dispose of them properly. What I do, I'm not saying you should do this, I lay them on the floor, on the concrete, away from everything. And I leave them sit there, day, 2, 3, whatever. And they will eventually dry out. That's about it. I'm going to keep working. We'll get that back together, and then we'll make some shavings. It was great to have you here today. I'm so glad you stopped by. Like, subscribe, and share. And head out to your shop. Clean and take apart and clean one of your tools and put it back together and tune it up just right. Your good friend Walter, out.